Maria Lisa, thank you so much, and please stay on the stage, yeah. And I keep inviting other guests to the stage. So, please, from Research Council of Lithuania, Head of NCP Unit, NCP Coordinator, Aurelia Povilaitė. Research leader at the microalgae section at the Norwegian Institute for Water Research and the coordinator of locality project, Margarita Costa. Please. Life Sciences Investment Advisor from Invest Lithuania, Greta Zajančiauskaitė. Please. CEO at Agriculture Cooperative Lietuviško ūkio kokybė, Mindaugas Maciulevičius. Please join us. Vice President of Business Development at Foodscale Hub and General Partner Loggerhead Ventures, Grigoris Šatikostas. Please. And Head of the European Projects Unit of the Taragoa Provincial Council and Project Coordinator at Soul Food, Emma Gorgori, please. So, thank you once again, Maria Lisa, for such nice insights for this panel discussion. And as we've been hearing from the morning, how important is the collaboration, empowerment of the youth. Now we will try to dive in, not only to talk about collaboration, but we're going to be talking about cross-sectorial collaboration and how can we make bioeconomy more sufficient. I'm going to turn right away to Aurelia.
Oh.
So, you're representing NCP unit in Lithuania. So, can you start a little bit? We've heard a lot today about funding, not enough, or some said it's enough. So, can you elaborate? And who gets a chance to get those fundings? Maybe only on cross-sectorial, or it doesn't matter? Please.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And who said there's not enough funding? I mean, come on, there's always not enough funding. So I just will take a step back slightly. NCP unit, who are we? We're national contact points. So these are national structures in each EU member state that work exclusively with Horizon Europe program. We had a session before lunch that we actually talked about Horizon Europe and the projects they have been funded through this program and what successes and impact they're trying to achieve. So our unit, there's 19 of us, so there's plenty of help to the national applicants in Lithuania, is supporting applicants and businesses and higher education institutions and NGOs through the process of getting that funding from Horizon Europe program, from European Commission. We were saying that it's a fact that out of nearly 100 billion euros that have been dedicated to Horizon Europe, 35% of those are dedicated to climate change, including bioeconomy. So it's a huge chunk of money dedicated for actually what we are here all doing. So our aim is to help those applicants navigate through finding the right calls that suit them, then helping them to go through application process, advising on EIT calls as well. They just have closed, they have EIT and CP in the audience. And then, supporting them through the management of those projects. So there's a plenty of money out there to get the funding from. But the issue that we're facing is that our applicants from Lithuania with great ideas are either scared to dive into that's Horizon Europe, or they don't have partners, even though they do, or they don't have experience. But this is where we come in to help. And what Horizon Europe program is doing, what you just Christina said, and what we all are trying to do, is to use multi-actor approach to solve the problems, to collaborate. So most of the budget is going to collaborative projects, to encourage collaboration, because one institution in one country cannot solve the problem of bioeconomy, the challenges we're facing. And just an example of VAT showed us that you need an enormous amount of partners. So we're here to help to connect at the national level and international level as well to the actors and applicants who want to dive into the program and get the funding.
And does that also apply for the startups, which is a very important question?
It does apply to the startups. So there's a third pillar of the program. There's an EIC accelerator program. Yes, the success rate is low, but however, those who don't try don't get. So let's have that mindset. There is the EIC accelerator program. There's EIC Pathfinder program for the startups. They can ask for the money depending on their technical readiness level. But yes, and startups can get involved in the consortium projects too.
Thank you so much, Aurelia. So we heard that it's enough of the money, so just the place, you need to find the place, the contact point where to turn to. Okay, and right away I'm turning to Grigoris. You're coming from Foodscale Hub. I know you are supporting a lot startup ecosystems, and what is your approach for the cross-sectorial collaboration? And for me, it was very hard to pronounce Loggerhead Ventures. What does it mean?
Okay, let me start with this one first, because this is our new baby. Well, loggerhead is the small turtle that you find in the Mediterranean. It's one that, once it's getting born, it needs some human help to take it from the sand to the sea to survive. Just like the startups. In the beginning, most likely they're going to die, unless there is someone there to help them. And that's our positioning in the game. Going back now to speak about cross-sectorial collaboration. I think that it's a good idea to praise Europe for that. They gave us lots of room for that. The multi-actor approach, once it was invented, the whole consortia, starting from FP7, that they opened the story to the market. I can share personal stories. Cross-sectorial collaboration is not always without challenges. When we started back in 2013 building accelerator programs for AgTech, we were telling that our dream is to make farmers and geeks speak the same language. 10 years afterwards, this is a common sense, I think. But,
did it work?
Yes, I believe it did. Judging from the many companies, including some of here in the Lithuanian ecosystem that were established based on that value proposition, I think that it worked. But we have many new vocabularies to invent, and as the sectors are growing, and as we have now bioeconomy, for example, which is the topic of our event today, which is by definition cross-sectorial. We are now looking from our venture capital fund, we're looking at companies that are taking the leftovers from the Horeca industry, from the coffee shops, to produce construction and building materials, or to produce cosmetics for people. So in that sense, the cross-sectorial collaboration is necessary, but it does not come without challenges.
So would you say that the investments, for example, if a startup is more cross-sectorial, it's a bigger chance to get the funding?
I would certainly say that each investment in a startup is a unique case. We don't need cross-sectorial startups, we don't need inclusive startups, we need startups that will make profit for the investors. That's a truth that we all have to accept. But based on that, certainly the people who are open-minded enough to capture the opportunities that exist in untapped territories, I think these are the ones that are going to benefit in the future.
Thank you so much, Grigoris. And I'm turning to Greta. So we've heard about NCP, how venture capitalists work, how cross-sectorial startups are being supported. Now, what about the investments for the bigger projects? How does that work? Do you support more cross-sectorial, or maybe you have some success stories on the cross-sectorial collaboration?
So I will go a step backwards and talk a bit who do we consult in Invest Lithuania. So we talk to the companies all over the world that is ready to take a step and get a new site somewhere in the Europe, and we prefer that to be Lithuania, of course. But we guide them here and give them, support. So what we sell is not Lithuania. We sell an ecosystem that works. We sell partners that they can find in here. We can sell, universities that's gonna make the talents for them. So we never will be able to sell Lithuania just as a country. We're gonna sell it as an ecosystem as one. So good success cases, like companies that comes via merger and acquisition, like Rocket came to Lithuania, they found the talent, they found partners that they needed and they came to Lithuania, but that's also the way that big companies come, smaller companies as well start to find the talents. And also they find a good government here that's open to talk. That's very important, especially in bioeconomy. You cannot go anywhere without a government that's not open to talk to you, that's not agile. So I think that's also something that we find in Lithuania, and we advocate for it as well.
Thank you so much. Any success stories?
I'm talking from the big grand ones like Thermo Fisher, Rocket, and Emelina, but also smaller ones that comes into country, like CROs like Curaline and so on. Of course, I work personally more in biotech, but the bioeconomy, I believe, is still to come. But some of them I cannot talk due to the confidentiality. But
Okay, Greta, I'll come back to the bigger investments, but now I would like to turn to Emma. Apart from that, that you're head of the European Projects Union at the Taragoya, you are project coordinator of Soul Food. Sounds very soul. Yes, what it is? What kind of project?
It is a very social project. We're really proud of this project, and we like to disseminate what the project is about because it tackles the social part of the food value chain. So social food is Soul Food. Sorry, Soul Food is a project that is co-funded by the European Social Fund Plus of the EU. We are 9 partners coming from representing 4 different European countries, and with a total budget of around 800,000 euros. But it's not just about the budget, it's what this project is different from other projects, other previous projects. So we have the food value chain, but what we're trying to do is innovate by finding a digital solution that serves the beginning of the food value chain and connects it to the end of the value chain. So what we're trying to tackle is, we do have surplus of production in the fields that no one is harvesting because it's not worth, right? What we're trying to do is, so we want to connect these producers that have this surplus and connect them to the social initiatives that are trying to reduce or trying to cover these vulnerable groups of people that don't have a daily meal on their plate, right? So this is the innovative part of this, right? So we include digital solutions, which is something that has been discussed today in the panel. So to really step forward and to really speed up bioeconomy, we need to include digital solutions, even in sectors or in sectors and in people, groups of people that are not really ready for that. So including technology in producers is really challenging. So that's why we need this cross-sector collaboration, because we have NGOs in our partnership that provide us this sensibility that we need to tackle these vulnerable groups of people. So we also have ICT representatives, Agri-Food, as you know, they are also our partners, and public sector to also push these policies to improve and to boost and foster these sort of initiatives.
And in a couple of words, what would you say, what's the biggest impact expected from the project?
The biggest impact is different impacts, but one is to convince this the farmers, the producers that are usually not considered and are not taken into account. So hear their voices, understand their needs, let them participate in this food value chain and make them stars of the decision making, if you want to say so. So this is one, and then digitalize a sector that is known as being late adopter and a slow adopter. So if we manage to get these 2 objectives, among others, then we will be really pleased.
Well, thank you so much, Eva. So I've been hearing today a lot also that farmers, and Maria Elisa has mentioned, farmers are very important. That's a pivotal foundation. And like you're saying, then the impact cannot be reached without collaboration through a whole food value chain. So I'm turning to Mindaugas, representing probably farmers today. And well, very interesting thing. I don't know if you're participating in the beginning of the summit, but our colleague from Estonia has said that they have bioeconomy strategy, but farmers don't care about it because they just want to be farmers. They don't really want to implement too much of the technologies. So let's talk about that. And we are hearing farmers are still, the foundation for bioeconomy. So how are we going to be proceeding?
Look, it's very simple to say. Farmers are looking for the good earning, let's say. I'm not saying profit, because nowadays farming is not so profitable anymore, but they just want to keep themselves above the water. So they want to get the best value as they can. So the clever man who will come to them and he will say that for all that you are growing, you'll get so much more. This is where the farmer will say, yes, that's nice. And I would say this is something to do with the governments also, and the consistency and coherency with the policies. We're all saying we're going to be green now, Green Deal, everything. We all know that we're using crop rotation, nitrogen-fixing crops like beans, like peas, and we all are saying, ruling every single farmer, you have to plant them. This is because you'll get fine. But no one thought that, is there any market for green, and what we're going to do with the peas and beans and all other legumes. And then the clever way to do that would be, there is ongoing growing market of this protein which comes from the peas globally. A lot more people are looking for healthier diets, and more them being produced. To build a plant in Lithuania, it would mean that there is a market straight away for the good money. And then you have your local markets, local farmers, where you can say to them that they need this type of a quality, and you can look into a quality. You have a link with a primary producer, and maybe you can say that, please don't use this fertilizer, please don't use that plant protection, and you can regulate that, and you can have the highest quality of an end product. This is natural, this is normal. And I think for a lot of businesses, it makes sense. And I'm hoping that at least someone will start thinking this way, because now we're going, we have so much raw materials which are available. Nello from the bio-based industries, 4 years ago, we were here going to the ministries, to a presidential, they had a beautiful report, and they were saying that, look at how much raw material you have in Lithuania, and we were saying, that's grand, let's do something about that. But nothing happened. And I'm so glad to hear today that Invest Lithuania and the Ministry for Innovation, not only the Ministry for Agriculture, are looking in this field. And yes, there are opportunities down there. Not only the wheat, we have a biomethane, which we already discussed. There was sectoral working group, and there is some sort of, it's not strategy, but at least it's a good start for the strategy. And I hope that now the ministry will start working on the bioeconomy strategy, which we really need, and not only for farmers, we need that for economy.
Everybody.
This is not only for that. And also very good news is Strida Mitseikienė, she left already, but the chancellor of our Vytautas Magdas University, Agricultural Academy, they have ambitious plan to build an innovation plant down there, not plant, but park down there close to Kaunas and Reikiškės for bioeconomy research. So there will be enzymes, there will be, let's say, all different laboratories dealt with, maybe green biotech also. So there is a promising, let's say, field where the startups will be able to grow. But we are only starting to talk about it now, and bioeconomy, we started to talk on the European level, I would say, 8-9 years ago, and I was at the beginning of that, when I was European Economic and Social Committee member and rapporteur, a number of opinions in this field. So we were coming back to Lithuania and saying, look at it's so promising, and everyone, wow, good idea, but that's it, nothing is happening. So the moment when we'll take the decision, but all of us together, and I can guarantee you the farmers, they're the first ones who are now looking for solutions, because we can see that if we are not doing anything, there is no future in the current way of farming. The raw material prices are so dramatic, everything is so volatile, we have to think about the end product, and they will be the driving force for the change, I hope. So this would be the...
So would you say that farmers are ready to invest or co-invest? What's needed for the farmers to step or be the front runners?
Yes, this is very good, and I think I really believe in cooperatives and cooperation. Okay. And we have brilliant example in Lithuania, a milk cooperative called Pienas LT, and they have built the wonderful factory, and they're producing very good protein that they're selling all over the world. There is a big demand for that, and they're very profitable and very good. They're paying very good money for the raw milk to the members, and they're expanding. And I remember when they started 6 years or 7 years ago, they had huge problem with getting bank loan, accessing finance. Because cooperative, it's not trustworthy. Banks were saying, we don't know the structure. What do you mean? One vote, everyone have equal votes, and no, we don't lend. But then eventually they landed, and now we have a lot of good examples in the grain sector also, very good, strong cooperatives. And as far as I know, there is a good initiatives discussed that maybe they can combine forces together and build something like that, the protein processing plant. The banks are already trusting the cooperatives because they can see track records and they can trust the entity. But also, look at European Investment Bank. We also have this RRF facility. We have so many ways how we can access the finance nowadays, so it's not the question about that. And also, let's be open about that not only grants we would be looking for, sometimes the preferential loan with a little interest can be even better way to work in the project like this than a grant, and then you have to borrow everything else in the market. So how you look into that? And I think we have everything here, and I can see that farmers have a good intention and they have good willing, and there is a good spirit of cooperation. And I really believe that the cooperatives can make the serious differences, but at the same time, there is a huge potential for the businesses from outside to come in here, and I really hope that Invest Lithuania can bring them in, because we seriously look at, we have 7 million tons of grain produced, we're exporting 5 million. Like, it's huge market, it's huge potential, raw material, straw. We can do a lot of things with that. Nello will tell you better how much we have. We don't know ourselves. They did the research, and they came 4 years ago to us and saying, "Look at, open your eyes. Look at, this is what you have. This is what you have. This is," and we just yes, we still export that. So once we change that mentality, we'll be at the winning point, I would say, and it will be the end of all the problems to our farmers. This is the most important message.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mindaugas. And I'm turning to a little bit different farming methods. So I'm turning to Margarita now. Please, couple of words on your project as a coordinator, and what is the impact from that project is expected?
So Locality is a project that has as main aim to deploy algae products in the market. And those algae products can be from many different sectors of application. So we have the food sector involved, but we also have textiles, agriculture, and aquafeed as well. So in the project, because algae is a very diverse group, and algae we grew algae either in the Baltic or we grew them in bioreactors, and they feed their nutrient sources come from waste streams from different industries. So what we try to do is that we try to combine, we call these local industrial ecosystems, and we try to localize the algae production close to the industries that are producing these waste streams. And we have here a win-win. So for the algae producers, they save on nutrient sources because they don't need to buy these nutrient sources. And the industries that are producing the waste have a way of getting rid of the waste and cleaning the water. And then the algae that it's produced, it's going to be applied in different products in these markets that I was telling. So we try to close the loop locally in these different ecosystems. And these ecosystems are also located in regions where the markets are key for these regions or for these countries. So, of course, in Norway, we take care of the aquaculture ecosystem. So we cultivate algae based on waste streams that come from the fish industry. But we have also located in Sweden the textile ecosystem, and in the Netherlands the agriculture one.
Yeah, thanks, Margarita. And as I understand, that this is true collaboration, cross-sectorial collaboration from the biomass making different sectorial products. What are the challenges for such a value chain?
Yes, there are challenges, of course, and I think that the main one was mentioned already, which is we don't speak the same language. So we cover the entire, we are 28 partners, 27 partners, we cover the entire value chain from the waste producers to the farm, the algae farmers, to the R&D, the product developers, we have the fundamental researchers, the applied researchers, and we have the end users as well, so the companies that are going to produce, put the products out in the market, and we have business partners involved, disseminating, doing market assessments, and very often we don't speak the same language, and this is something that we always try to level up. I think that this is basically the main challenge here.
So what is the success key? How to find this language? Common language.
It's try to level it up somehow. So a lot of collaboration, a lot of communication in between the partners, having everyone together, because we cannot if we are segregated into our own field of expertise and our own field, innovation is way more complicated. So we need to put people together, and we need to make people speak the same language.
Thank you so much. And I'm turning now to Maria Elisa. You've mentioned many times about the importance of collaboration and the thinking about ecosystem as one system. But now, what are the challenges? Also, we're hearing there are some challenges. We need to talk about that.
Yeah.
What are the gaps?
Yeah, I think that, well, it is for sure that, collaboration is sometimes actually quite difficult. It's challenging and indeed because of these reasons of not really understanding that what is the place of each and one of us in the whole system. So we are, by definition, often very siloed. And we kind of this is how we have been also taught to do, to become just an expertise in your own field and not really understanding the whole. And I think that, today we understand that, well, we can no longer only look at our own little area. And I think that the biggest challenge is also sometimes there that, to whom are we doing this? What is the purpose? What is the objective? What is the target? And even if it would be if you take the whole food value chain already, and we say that every single one is very important in this value chain. Well, it's true, because otherwise we will not have anything coming from the farmers or producing towards the consumers. But so, how do you then, in the future systems and in those kind of successes, how do you evaluate then that, who is doing what and where actually the value of that work should be going and the effort? Where are the innovations? Because often we are thinking about that they are more, once again, not interlinked at all. So somehow the understanding has to be built, and also the value, because quite frankly, it is not right that if you take like farmers, even today, their work, what they do, and then how basically the distribution of a market value is in a way in the whole value chain. It's not quite, it doesn't have to be, it cannot be even, because there are opportunities that are different, and each and every one in this value chain also has to understand that how do I grow, where is the kind of but then how do we grow then together? And somebody was mentioning this market, that you need to also understand that to whom you are selling. And obviously farmers, if you are asked indeed to grow something and you don't have market for it, or like nobody's buying, I mean, it's like in any business, you don't want to do such a things, and you are devastated economically, but probably also in many other ways, and this obviously cannot be. But then at the same time, to open those doors and indeed like finding those common grounds and those gaps where, piece by piece, we are then able to basically build them up and understand then at the same time the whole. Not to say I'm only moving again like this little thing here. No, I move it, but then at the same time we know that we have to move.
But isn't it
somewhere
then
here.
harder to achieve the impact we're looking for when we collaborate so much? So many different players, stakeholders.
Actually, the impact is going to be greater.
Great.
But it is, for surely it's more complicated, but the impact itself is actually going to be much greater, because then it's for the, in a way of at least understanding the whole, and the whole systemic approach and the whole ecosystem. And, it's not like, once again, it's not for farmers, it's not anyone who are doing business in the food value chain. It's not about charity. It's not about like, being assisted. I mean, nobody wants to be like assisted. There has to be like in this new transformation that we are doing, there are so many areas of a creation value that, we just don't sometimes think about it, because we were kind of going from the idea after the wars was like mass production because we needed to eat, to where we are now. But now today we have much more in our hands of capabilities, innovation, financing, even though, the financing in some areas are not maybe enough, or at least not sourced enough in that area. So there are, but yes, to very clear short question is that yes, it's difficult, but yes, the impact is going to be greater. And yes, this approach is, I think, the only way forward.
I'm turning to Greta and then Aurelia, but what we are hearing, there are lots of challenges, pitfalls maybe. So would you advise the investors to go for the cross-sectorial collaborations, or what are the trends that you are seeing?
So our customers usually choose to go solo, but in the bioeconomy, we do see the tendency, because the risks are so abundant, that they look for joint venture solutions, for collaborative partnerships, and so on. But nevertheless, even if they go solo or they go with another partner to a country, they face the same challenges, and that's normally the cost. In a nutshell, it's expensive to start and it's expensive to be profitable. And some examples of my companies that we talk about, like they have a good product, especially alternative meat products as well. But they have a good product, they have a good marketing strategy, but the unit cost is still too high for the consumers out there. The second problem and challenge they face is normally infrastructure. So everything that's visible, the land plots, the buildings, build-to-suit options, all is necessary, but at the same time, all the invisible infrastructure like regulations, and we all know that Europe is not known to be fast in adopting regulations for innovations, for bureaucracy. So now we struggle in this, and companies are trying to navigate in that. And I will give an example of a country's efforts to do that. So places like Abu Dhabi, for example, to attract foreign direct investments and keep them in the country, prioritizes investing in infrastructure via targeted funding, via partnerships, private-public collaborations. And what we see there, it's a growing biotech industry, and it signals to continue growing. And the third part, I mean, what we are talking here is partners, but it's a challenge for companies. I mean, it's really hard to find a partners that you really want to collaborate, that's going to collaborate with you, you know, like that's open to talk. And I wanted to give an example here of one American company that we talked with. So they are located in Boston. And we made a lot of jokes about how expensive and overpriced it is in Boston. But, you know, like the goal of the company is to innovate fast. So the fact that there's 3 universities there, all the scientists and business to help them to go there actually reaches their goals very fast, no matter how expensive it is. So I think it's a challenge and a pitfall to choose actually a place to be in. It's kind of a gamble, you win or lose. You win sometimes a cost and you lose some partners. So it's always a challenge to go into. So I think I will just finish very fast, like ecosystems like Lithuania, which are small, which are still competitive in a price, they can have a lot to offer. And I think that we could become a Boston of the Baltics eventually if we continue and sit here together and speak together with each other.
Oh, thank you so much, Greta. And turning to Aurelia, so what is your opinion on the investments for such a projects with a
I would say, in short, I do agree absolutely with all of you. And I think what is becoming very clear and unified was that we need collaboration and partnership and cross-sectoral work to achieve the impact of the program, to get the funding from Horizon Europe and other programs. The issues are the same. The issues that you all have discussed in different sectors are the same, and we're coming together consortium in order to solve the big challenge, either be it by economy or food shortages, climate change, whatever. It's all talking different languages, not trying to be too closed up without sharing. And at the national level, we experience the same. When we go to the ministries and ask them to get involved in the project, that potential will have the benefit at the national level. There's a language barrier. We don't want to, we don't have resources, we don't have time, etc. When we go to the business will say, I don't have time, resources, manpower to get involved in this project. You go to the end users, they don't understand what's about, and you have to educate them. So it seems like that what we are doing at the national level as well, we are investing our time talking the language of the stakeholder that we're meeting, to explain them the importance their contribution will have to take part in that project. That what impact, that they're not going to create the impact on their own, but they will contribute to in the long term to the impact of reducing the emission or etc. So we do face the same challenges, but we try to understand the stakeholder, what are their needs and how to convince them. And we do have some successes. You know, we have regions that have never taken part in the program winning successfully the projects. They're coming from all different parts of the country. And I mean, that is the success they heard, they found the partnerships, they joined, and now they're contributing to creating the impact.
Thank you so much, Aurelia. And I just would like to remind everyone, if you have questions, please, you can ask them, and I'll try to respond through the panelists. I would like to turn now to Grigoris and ask the first question. So on one side, we're talking about cross-sectorial collaboration, we're hearing challenges, but then the impact is greater. And then we have social projects, like we've heard about Soul Food, which are also very important. From the Food Scale Hub point of view, can you elaborate a little bit what are greater implementation risks, I don't know, or opportunities, maybe for social projects or maybe for the investment projects?
To begin with, I think it's not very easy to distinguish between social and non-social projects, as long as humans are involved or projects are one way or another social, in the sense that they have to make a social impact. Now, of course, challenges are many. As we said, there are problems mostly coming from the different sectors and the different vocabularies. There are challenges coming from the different parts of the value chain that people exist. For example, if I'm running a small company and I am in a dispute with a partner who's a multinational, most likely I will have to defend myself against a legal department that's bigger than my entire company. And that creates a culture of understanding. I think that the biggest problems appear when there is lack of empathy. Because all types of organizations, all types of actors in these collaboration projects, they have their own agendas. They're coming from somewhere, they're trying to achieve something, and the project is a way to achieve their agendas. The best way to eliminate the risks that, you are right, they exist, is to understand each other's agenda and to try to adjust your position according to that in order to come to the common goal, which is always more success, more impact, more projects of the same kind.
That's a very good point of view, Grigoris. I would turn to Margarita and Emma. And we've got similar question from the audience that, okay, so we're investing in those projects, different investments, different projects, collaboration, but like we pay those money, and what is out of this for the society? So where do those money go? So, Margarita?
Yes, I think, I mean, in the case of locality, it's very straightforward. We are developing new products with more sustainable ingredients that are going to substitute others that are in the market right now or co-share the existence in the market. So we are trying to bring more products into the market. At the same time, we are circularizing the production of these products. So we are taking care of the ecosystems in a way and utilizing waste streams that in any other situation would be a waste that needed to be treated anyway. So we would spend resources. So the whole society is getting something out of that, even though if the companies get the IP protected and may be able to sell the products that are developed, the society is gaining something with it.
Okay. In our case, internally, we always, at our organization, we always have the discussion when we first want to start a new project, what is this project output? And if that output is tangible, visible. So sometimes many projects, you know, there's this phase of exchanging goals, trying to align them, or just sharing good practices, and it's difficult to obtain the tangible output out of it. So that's why we think it's critical in a collaborative project, in a collaborative atmosphere, to really stress the communication. And communication in all shapes. So communication among the partners. So make sure we are all, like you said something like empathy, generosity. You have to be able to reduce your expectations or align your goals to the rest of the partners. So make a minimum objective, a common minimum objective. And that probably means reduce your ego or reduce your expectations on something. Second thing is good communication among the partners, but also communicate what you are going to do, when you are doing it, how you are doing it, and what's the result of what you've done to your stakeholders. And stakeholders may be a producer, a farmer, it might be a part of us or our agents, and it also is the citizen, the end user, the person, because we are public sector and we're using public money. So this is for us the key. So to have clear your objectives and transfer them properly to your audience so that everyone understands what you're doing and what's the impact and the results. Sometimes the impact is short term, but the results are visible. And linked to that, and that's my last addition today, is that you have to make the results sustainable. And this is also a challenge. So we're not going within Soul Food, we're going to create a digital solution. And one of the things that concerns our partners is what will happen with this solution when the project finishes? Who's going to support the solution? Who's going to pay for that? So we have to think further and envision the future, the sustainability of our actions.
Very good. The sustainability of the actions of the projects, but we've got great question from the audience. Now, this is for everyone. I think it's going to be end discussion and very good. How do you think collaboration can foster when so many challenges about data sharing exist? The EU adopts an open science position, yet because of GDPR, scientists that do consumer or clinical trials need to draw data sharing agreements even between scientists in the same university or group. So this is great question, and I'm starting from Grigoris.
Well, from the sector that I'm coming from, the data sharing issue is indeed quite big. But what we found out in a couple of projects we're involved is that what you actually need to build is a governance model that takes into account the motivations of each party, because data sharing means I give something expecting to get something back.
Yes.
So if you build the right system of motivations and you pass this message all around the stakeholders, I think that the game has clear rules. And as long as the game has clear rules, people know at which extent this game is aligned with their comfort zone. For example, a food-producing company is very much interested to participate together with farmers, but also together with a health agency in a data-sharing project, exactly because this data is very interesting for all of them, and they know what to take and what to expect. At the same time, there are privacy issues related to humans, but also privacy issues related to companies, involving trade secrets and everything. As long as the governance rulebook is there and it's clear from the beginning, people tend to have to make informed decisions on whether they want to be inside or not. And that's the beginning of it, I think.
Do you know any success stories on that matter?
Absolutely. I will ask you to recall a project that we participated together, IOF 2020, where we had competing European agricultural manufacturers working together to build a standard so they can exchange data, because they understood that if they do not develop that type of practice, the Americans will conquer the market sooner or later.
Okay, and I'm turning to Mindaugas. Well, farmers are always very sensitive about data sharing. So what is your opinion on that question?
I think there are two angles over here. First of all, data sharing that of your personal use that you're using on everyday production. And this is something that we don't really want. Someone should know exactly what we do, when we do, and everything. Of course, we have nothing to hide. But then there is a competition. And then there is maybe someone will see too much. And mentally, farmers are like that. And especially it was a very, very good discussion and long discussion when the satellite images started, and we kind of started to monitor fields every day. But I think now it's getting better, and farmers are getting used to that, and this is a new know-how, and must be that you know that every day the satellite is flying and watching that. But there is a second part, which is also a link to data, but data not of research or on your work, but on the prices. And this is something, if we're discussing bioeconomy, we also have to, because, you know, there is this competition law that you are not really allowed to discuss the prices with your competitor. And if you are building, or if you are trying to build some sort of a mega factory, for example, for protein, and you will have to discuss with, let's say, at least 30% of your local farmers one single price. And then there is that, you know, what is competition-wise a big headache. I know that there is a regulation within the SMO, and we might say that if a cooperative, then it might be okay. But I know a number of member states already, there was a lot of problems in this field, and this was actually an obstacle. So we should also have to have that in mind in Lithuania when we're discussing, because our competition authority is very, very, very strict, and they want to make as everything as the rule says. So we have to make sure that we're not pushing the farmers into a situation when, if they're not even willing, they'll disobey the rule, the law, and there will be a problem for them. And the fines, you know, the fines are millions of euros. So I don't really want to go in that road. So it's also a very good idea just to discuss that part.
Thank you so much. And turning to Greta, and does data sharing is a challenge, or maybe not a challenge, maybe it attracts more investment?
Data is the new gold, for sure. So I think where is money, there's innovations and investors and companies going. So we experience nowadays in Lithuania also the data sharing of secondary patient data, and that has attracted enormous initiatives from the companies, from the institutions, from the health. And I think the one key player that actually has power to manage this is political will. So basically, as long as there is an institution that takes care, like that everything goes accordingly, that, there's quality in the data that we have, I think all the companies are going to follow, because we can see from the biggest companies like Roche and all the others, they can pay billions for data sets. And I think that's a very good niche to work into. And I think agriculture and food and everything should be part of it for sure.
Thank you so much. I'm turning to Margarita. And so knowledge transfer between collaboration and data sharing is possible.
Yes, it's definitely possible. I think what is key is to understand what is the common goal. So for researchers, all researchers are very much in favor of data sharing. First, because it promotes excellence. So if we share not only the results but how we got into the results, all the data that led us to the results, we are sure, or the community, the scientific community, is sure of the quality standards of that data. But for the companies, and in terms of innovation, I think that it's key. They are usually a bit more reserved in terms of data sharing, production data, and so on. But I think what is key is to understand what is the common goal. So if they are willing to share the data, to share the knowledge, to transfer the knowledge, as long as we are achieving a goal that it serves me and it serves the company that is sharing, and the other one that is receiving the data as well. And I think that that's the way to lead to innovation.
Thank you. And Aurelia, is there any schemes to encourage to make this process more easy? Because it's a very, very questionable topic.
Yes, I don't think there is a process, but there is a light force from the European Commission and all Horizon Europe projects to be as open as possible. So obviously, if there's a business plan...
Is it possible?
It is possible, and actually it is possible. So the big consortiums are signing agreements, what Grigoris was saying, like a rule book, how they will share the data inside. They can't disclose as much as they can, how the data will be used, what will going to be made of into the product. The most important thing is to share the data that you can share, so it can be used for the secondary purposes. We have enormous amount of data currently being collected within the 3 years of the program, and it's not being used or valorized as well into the products, into the innovations. So there's a big encouragement not to collect the new data that already exists and to use the secondary data. So there are mechanisms in place, but unfortunately, to some degree, we have to play by the rules. But the big consortiums, including big companies, they do sign agreements in between, and that works.
Well, thank you so much, Aurelia. And Maria Elisa, I'm sure ET Food has collected so much of the data, but is it reusable, reshareable?
That's a very good question. Well, we definitely do hope that it is. I think that there's a lot of, obviously, it's a contradictory topic, I think, in a way that at the same time we are living in the world where a lot of data, information is available. And then at the same time, indeed, we do also know how we protect. But protect what? And I think this is then the question that, needs to be answered. I think there's also like one thing is protecting, researchers, innovators for, providing them the ownership of things that they have created. I think that's also really important. It's about the, longevity of the professions, and then at the same time, there's obviously things that we cannot do unless they are shared. I mean, I said, there's no use of things. Then obviously, then comes AI. Artificial intelligence into play as well, that and none of these things are going to go away. Whether we look at the protection or anything, it's more of a question that, okay, how can we then build systems, build the things in a way that we at least know what is happening, because I think what is most terrifying moments, whether it is for the companies, when something is going out and actually you are like, oh my goodness, what happened, and you don't know actually where the information is going on. So at least if there's something also good about this moment is that, we know that data is important.
Yes.
Not necessarily all the data, but data as a whole is important. And I think that if we take it as once again, like as a positive resource, I think it can actually really create something, but it's also precious. So, in both ways. Yeah,
Goes
exactly.
both
Let's
ways.
open the doors for sure, but not necessarily like all the doors and windows.
Thank you, Maria-Lisa. And for the last remarks, Emma. So in a very few words, just 2 words, what steps need to be taken, or what is the success key for the cross-sectoral collaboration for the bioeconomy?
Well, that's a difficult one.
We don't have much time, just a couple of words.
Just communication,
Communication.
and mutual learning. I mean, as long as we are not generous, and anything else will come down from these 2 pillars to me. We need to communicate well, expectations, goals, issues, risks, differences in a common language, of course, and then mutual learning. I mean, mutual learning, mutual respect, and become family for at least the period of time we're working together.
Thank you so much. And for the last round, 2 words. What is the success key for cross-sectorial collaboration in bioeconomy? Grigoris. 2 words.
Mutual motivation.
Mutual motivation.
Bioeconomy strategy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Agile governments.
Alignment of objectives.
Patience and dialogue.
I would say curiosity. I don't know actually why that word is coming into my head, but I say that one. So.
Thank you so much, and big applause for our discussion. Thank you.